So we pick travelers. Our typical customers are people flying in and out of the country. So we pick those from the airport to wherever they're going and back. And we do this through a network of driver partners for whom we give regular business and improve livelihoods. They can book through WhatsApp, they can call us, they can email us. We just try to make it as simple and convenient, as seamless as possible for our customers.
Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesigye. Aaron Mwesigye is the Director for Ethics and Religious Affairs. He is a celebrated theologian, a writer, development worker, and a teacher of development ethics. He is currently coordinating the development of a national policy to monitor and regulate religious activities and operations in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesigye.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I speak, I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Emmanuel Deitumi for actually having such a great vision and organizing this summit, the first one of its kind in Uganda. It's an African summit, but it begins in Uganda, bringing the element of business in religion. My topic, as you see it, entrepreneurial transformation in Africa through faith-based innovation, ethics, and integrity. Now, I just want to get the keywords and phrases in that topic. And as you see them, the first one is entrepreneurial transformation. The second is faith-based innovation, and then ethics and integrity. I think those are the key issues. Now, when you say entrepreneurial transformation, you are looking at adaptation of doing business by changing structure, by changing system, by changing strategy, by changing leadership, by changing culture, so that you can be able to cope with change and innovation. That's what you can call entrepreneurial transformation. Now, faith-based innovation brings in new ways, because innovation means creativity. Now, new ways of bringing out what I may call religious identity, religious purpose in business, in changing cultural context. Because we know that religions influence creativity, religions influence innovation, religions influence norms, religions influence networks, religions influence trust, religions influence beliefs. And if there is no influence as far as religion is concerned, then that religion is baseless. Because the whole purpose of religion is to influence. You have to influence networks, you have to influence creativity, you have to influence norms, you have to influence even the culture. That's very important. Now, the word ethics and integrity combined, or if you want to look at them separately, now, ethics is principles or a set of principles that actually govern a person's behavior, that makes a person behave in a morally upright, or that makes a person behave in a manner that is conducive to society or to people, but also what is morally good or bad is determined by ethics. Now, integrity is the quality of being honest. And the word integrity comes from the word integer, which means whole number. So integrity means wholeness. But the integrity and ethics, it means this is soundness and someone or an institution that is incorruptible. So in other words, in short, if I may summarize my topic, it is transformation through faith-based innovation that must be driven or that must be shaped by God-centered values. Now, let me look at why faith-based innovation. Why? Because we need to ask that question. Why did Emmanuel choose the faith-based innovation? Why faith? Why not government innovation? And why not parastatals innovation? And why not other institutions, but why faith innovation? Because faith matters to people. and matters to development in many ways. I want to tell you that faith or religious institutions or leaders are very influential in both the political and social spheres. They have a broad following in society. Their presence at local communities, coupled with their capacity to deliver critical services, allow them to mobilize forces, grassroots support, allow them to earn trust of vulnerable groups, and of course, allow them to influence cultural norms, all of which make them vital stakeholders in development. So it's not accidental that we are here to discuss faith-based innovation, because faith matters to people and matters to development. As far as Africa is concerned, I think Professor Mbiti said that Africans are notoriously religious. That means where you find an African, he or she is a religious person. So I think it was very, very fundamental and cardinal. If Africans are notoriously religious, how can this religion, how can this faith influence business so that we can be able to drive the point of business home? As Emmanuel said, most Africans start business who are Christians, who are Muslims, and they fail. But why do they fail? Now, working with religious institutions, especially at local ends, they have structures that are laid from the bottom to up. So in other words, you can use faith institutions to actually succeed in development through those structures. Development can actually be effective when it takes a bottom-up approach. And I think if you want to use a bottom-up approach as opposed to the top-down, which most African countries have adopted as a result of the liberal market economy, because the liberal market economy, which you know very much, is most African countries actually are using that. And you know very well that if I may take you to that level, with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the conclusion of the Uruguay round of talks on GATT in 1994, the subsequent formation of the Geneva-based World Trade Organization, the free market economy was entrenched, and it is the only viable economic system that many African countries have adopted. But what is happening in our country? You see, that is even actually the lesson that even Clinton preached when he came to Africa in 1998. This is a system which has a vision that is driven by IMF and World Bank that have been consistently prescribing for Africa. This liberal market vision, why I'm doing this, I'm giving you the background under which your business works. Your business that we are doing in Africa is entrenched following the liberal economic vision, which is comprised of economic liberalization, privatization, investment, structural adjustment, and free trade. So this is the Messiah for Africa as preached by the Western world to liberate and bring salvation to the Africa. But I think you know what is happening, especially in your country, Uganda. And therefore, I want to say that why faith-based organization at this time is because we say that if faith organizations preach honesty and they live it, if they preach integrity and they live it, if they preach transparency and they live it, why not taking this transparency and integrity in business so that when you are doing business, you are able to generate income in an honest manner, you create employment and people come to work with you because you are very honest. You actually provide better services to the people in an honest manner. So that is why we are saying why faith-based innovation for transformation at this time. And as I move ahead, alongside that I've given you, which is the positive face of the faith-based organizations, there are so many contradictions and so many disturbing observations. And I want to open them because I'm a religious person. The need to strengthen the proactivity of the church vis-a-vis the issues of development is very behind. I want to tell you that. I am disturbed by the massive poverty, especially rampant in many African villages, which actually profess Christ. I am particularly disturbed by the fact that Africa, which is the poorest and backward continent, is at the same time a Christian or religious continent, as I have already said. So my question is, do these faces, being poor and being Christian or being religious, have relationship? I want you to ask yourself. If there is any institution that has penetrated and touched even the remotest African village and person, it is the church or mosque. And I want to tell you that while the great many African Christians or Muslims or religious people may not know the RDC of the prime minister of their countries, they would almost for sure know their parish priest or their bishop or sheikh, both by name and face, because he preaches to them every Sunday, he baptizes them, he marries them, and eventually buries them when they die. So I mean the church or the religious institution has to get beyond theological concern for the salvation of souls, which is promised beyond this world, and mere claim of what they are actually preaching, to preaching a gospel that can make a difference. And this time we are talking of material difference, not spiritual difference. Because the spiritual difference has preached over time, but people are still materially poor, and I want to tell you that the material difference impacts on the spiritual difference, whether you like it or not. Otherwise, we might find that what we have been preaching, we may find that it is part of the problem of poverty. Many times we have been a pious church, and I will explain this. Pious means, if I may relate those of you who read the Bible, what Simon of Cyrene did, the man who carried the cross of Jesus. You see, the pious church is the one which insists on saving the soul. It does not bother itself with the material and social well-being of the people. It preaches the souls. And this is exactly what we have been doing. The pastoral church, on the other hand, which is related to the Joseph of Arimathea, who actually buried the body of Jesus, greatly is very compassionate. It is a compassionate church or mosque. It is very caring. It does a lot of counseling. It preaches deliverance and healing. And it is very compassionate, but at the same time, it is silent. So those are some of the disturbing observations. From what I've shared with you as far as disturbing observations and contradictions are concerned, that whereas the church is necessary on ground or the religious institution, but at the same time there are contradictions that we see, I can ably tell you that we need to move from that pastoral and pious church to a prophetic church. And I want to relate the prophetic church with the work of Mary Magdalene. Those of you who read the Bible, Mary Magdalene, who made a fool of herself by wiping the feet of Jesus with her hair in public and anointing them with oil. In the risky endeavor of this prophetic action, she envisioned change, a new world, a new social order made possible by the life and story of Jesus. The Church of Mary Magdalene, or the religious institution, the prophetic church, is a church that cares for the coming reign of God and its obligation and its work. Mary Magdalene does not wait till death of Jesus, but anoints the body of Jesus now. Not only does she break tradition and the rules of decency by breaking the expensive jar of perfume, which would have been sold for a large amount of money, but she shows that nothing must be spared to fill the house with aroma now. The Church of Mary Magdalene, as you can see, is the church or the religious institution that insists that the salvation of the poor is not for the life to come, it is now. It is a church that is deeply material. It is a church that is not simply concerned with the soul alone. It is a church that anoints and saves the feet as well. It is a church, therefore, that rises above the pious salvation of the souls, above the necessary and enabling service of the pastoral church, in making a difference to the material and spiritual lives of. It is a church that strives not only to convince the people that outside the church there is no salvation, but also that without a toilet, without clean drinking water, without food on the table, without good clothing or business enterprise to support your family, there is no salvation. It is the church that caters for the entire body. That is an example I wanted to give you. And this is what we should think. We need to think not only outside the box as religious institutions, but we need even to think new boxes at this critical time. Now, the element of ethics, as I told you, is a very big factor. I was talking to a friend recently, and he told me that why some of the religious leaders are corrupt is because of social pressure from extended families. So when money is given in form of tithe, it ends up in his pocket sometimes. But I'm saying that that is because of lack of innovation. Some religious leaders have ended up being manipulative. They have ended up being exploitative to promote self-aggrandizement. Because some people dream at night with their wives and children. In the morning they start churches, and some of these churches is actually to protect the self, but not to protect the interests of the people. And I want to tell you that we are not ashamed, we religious people, that we use the pulpit to challenge the political leaders, but we don't challenge ourselves. But I want to disagree with that person who shared with me. Leaders who give in to these pressures can end up stretched and overstretched. But the only solution is to find ways. How can we generate resources as religious leaders to be able to cater for that extended family when you are in a position than using the money that comes from the tithe? So I think that is why we are here. That we need to do business guided by God-centered values, God-centered principles of honesty, so that when you are doing business, you have a unique selling proposition. You are able to attract customers because of your honesty. You are able to attract customers because of your accountability and transparency. You actually even attract people to come and work with you. I am suggesting, one, church or mosque in Africa, in all its manifestations, needs to be transformed by God into something that is new, that will be at the forefront as an instrument for transformation. Africa has enormous potential and urgently needs new breed of courageous and visionary leaders of integrity who are to lead transformation in all spheres. I want to encourage the churches to start business enterprises and support and sustain them. And I think from here, Emmanuel and the company who are here, before we end this tomorrow, we need to develop a Christian model. I'm sorry to tell you this, because the Muslims worldwide have business models. The Hindus have business models. If you go to the Hindu world in India, people are successful. The Muslim world is very successful. So we need to develop business model at the end of this that is guided by God-centered principles. I want you to have that, you see. So establish accountability structures to ensure that leaders operate with integrity to deliver on their promises. Establish methods of recognizing and affirming persons with integrity. Let me go to the conclusion. I have therefore argued that as a church or religious institution, we must adopt strategies and a holistic theology of salvation, which will help us to face the challenge of poverty. I have also argued that as a society we have the moral responsibility to re-examine at every stage the strategies we adopt in dealing with the issue of poverty. I have explained the issue of the liberal market economy, which has not helped us at all. Now, I want to end with a verse, Genesis chapter 1, verse 18. It says, God blessed us and said, multiply and fill the earth. This was a very important verse. Now, when many people read that verse, they think that means having more children. That verse, be fruitful and increase in number, means Be masters, multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Be masters of everything that has life. You religious leaders, fill the earth, replenish distribution, fill the whole earth with your reach. Don't be a local champion when God created you to be a global champion. Be a solution to the community or to your church. Increase your sales. That is what multiplication means. If your sales are 10%, increase them to 100%. Multiply and subdue the earth. Claim space. Napoleon said, the objective of war is victory. The objective of victory is occupation. Christians, religious leaders, today and tomorrow have failed to occupy space. And yet God told us to subdue. Subdue means claim space. Subdue your enemies. Subdue a bad business season by resilience. Subdue the media reports by keeping quiet and being diplomatic. Be masters over things. Have dominion so that when you speak, people listen. Be a woman and a man of influence. Don't be masters of spending. Be masters of production. Your ability dictates your prosperity. And you are the greatest resource. Not education, not money, not connections, but you. And therefore, invest in yourself. You can be both righteous, by the way, and rich. Go and start a saving culture. Start to protect your money intentionally. Don't spend before you invest. Have money first, but remember that as you build your wealth, do not forget God and his kingdom. The solution lies in our hands for God and my country.
Welcome aboard the safest airline in Africa. With industry-leading safety measures to protect your well-being. The first in Africa to earn a diamond standard of safety. Offering a more contactless, safe, and seamless experience. Delivered with a smile by Africa's first fully vaccinated crew. Creating special memories that bring the joy back to flying so you can continue making memories with your loved ones. Book your flight with Rwandair today. Rwandair, the safest airline in Africa.
Rwandair, fly the dream of Africa.
I first met UMB when I was at the crossroads of my business. I had a serious problem and UMB has made it possible for me to still stand today. How did they do this? They did not work and put me in a box. They looked at me as an individual and got a product from me which helped me to survive the period. Banks should look at it and see how they can also go that way to be able to meet individual customers, tailor products to suit the individual customers, and not to just box everybody together.